Well, time for another Drive Time Devo. It's been a bit, so figured that I would give one to you. The other day, my wife and I and our three lovely princesses were out shopping. We were at this grocery store called Sprouts out here and looking for certain vegetables and healthy stuff. Well, the kids didn't want to be in the shopping cart, which generally is fine. You know, they stay near us and they're in pretty control. Well, our 19-month-old, when we were looking at a milk, I think, had turned away from us in the split second that we weren't watching her, ran in the opposite direction, found herself a glass jar of honey, and proceeded to pull it off the shelf so it shattered all over the floor. You know, we turned and immediately saw it was our child. And you know, the wonderful feeling when that's your child in the grocery store. Ran, picked her up, like, no, you don't do that. And, you know, made sure that we held her the whole time. It's like, oh gosh, what horrible parents. And we went to the next aisle, mind you. She's in my arms. And as I'm holding her, I turn to talk to Jen. And she reaches out of my arms and grabs a plastic box full of melon pieces and proceeds to pull it off the shelf while in my arms and slam it to the floor where melon went everywhere. Oh yeah, same guy who's now picking up the honey sees us. Oh, don't worry about it. it's not a problem. Where inwardly, you know, he was saying, like, keep your kids under control, right? Oh, we were so embarrassed and, you know, wanted to get out of there as quickly as we possibly could. And as I was thinking about it later on, the Holy Spirit really spoke to me, and I told Jen about it immediately. The concept that your flesh is a toddler. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27, I believe, the Apostle Paul says, I keep my body under subjection. That word to keep is tereo, or I guard it with my life. I don't allow it to do stuff that it shouldn't do. And he says, I keep it under subjection. In the idea that your flesh is there to serve you. Too many times we let our flesh loose and think, oh, you know, I'm Christian enough, I'm in my Bible, I'm reading, I'm praying, I'm a good person. And so we don't think to watch our flesh. And we're not talking about to watch your flesh. You know how to watch your flesh. Because we give our flesh our full guidance the second we walk away from church. You know, after you leave church, what do you say? You and your family, you and your buddies, you and your spouse, you come together and you say, what do you feel like? Well, what are you really talking about? You're not saying, what does your spirit feel like? You're checking your flesh. And you're saying, burger doesn't feel good to me. I could eat a burger, that'd be fine. I just don't feel it. I feel like Mediterranean, right? Well, what is that? That's you checking your flesh. In the same way that you could check your spirit and seeing, what does my flesh really want and desire? Now, I'm not saying that's bad when you're going to look for food to eat. Well, could be, but we're not going to get into that today. The idea is that we need to constantly be minded of, what is my flesh doing? What type of desires is my flesh trying to bring up? Because I need to keep it in subjection. I need to bring it under and say, you are not the boss of me. You are my subject. You are my servant. I keep my flesh subject. And I don't let it wild out, because if it does, everybody in the grocery store is going to look at me like I'm an idiot. You know, keep your flesh under control. Because the truth is, your flesh is just a toddler. And you need to be a good parent of the Spirit and tell her what to do.